Good morning, everyone. I'm Sergeant Eric Ripp from the Philadelphia Police Department's Public Affairs Unit. Thank you for joining us this morning. We're here to provide an update into the shooting of our brave hero officer, Officer Jaime Roman, which occurred back in June of this year. Today, we're going to hear from our Mayor, Cherelle Parker, and we're going to next be hearing from our Police Commissioner, Kevin Bethel. We respectfully ask that you hold your questions until the end. And I'd just like to remind you that this continues to be an open investigation. It's an open homicide investigation. So we're going to be limited in the responses we can give. Thank you. Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Grip. Let me just start. Thank you, Commissioner. Let me just start by saying good morning to each of you. I do have a few remarks that I want to share, but before doing so, I want to ask that we take a moment of silence for Philadelphia Police Officer Jaime Roman, who died serving our city. Thank you. I just finished a very lengthy conversation with Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, sharing with him last night when we were at Temple Hospital the profound and quite frankly sorrowful, challenging privilege of being in a room filled with Philadelphia police officers, their commanders. Many, well, most of them had just learned of Officer Roman's passing. Together, we prayed and reflected on his sacrifice. There isn't anything that you can say to ease someone's grief and pain at a moment like that. Officer Roman left his wife and children on June the 22nd to go to work, protecting and serving the people of the 25th Police District. During a traffic stop in Kensington, he was shot in the line of duty, a cowardly act, and he never came home. After a very valiant fight, 80 days in the hospital, he succumbed to his wounds just after 8:30 last night. Philadelphia, this is the first time this has happened during my tenure, a death of a police officer in the line of duty. I depended on our police commissioner, and I still do, who unfortunately has been here many, many times before. So, you know, I don't know how to act. There's no playbook. On what the mayor is supposed to do at a time like this. I told the officers last night, many of whom had served with him, his family, his police family, his partner, will never leave his side and will be there for his family, for whatever it is that they need. And I told the officers that we will be there for them as well. We ask them every day to go do a job for the people of Philadelphia. We ask them to protect and serve us to the best of their ability. And it's a very, very difficult job. At this moment, it is our job to be there for them, and I want you to know that I intend to do that, and I told them so. It's not a speech day. It's a day to remember the sacrifice of Officer Jaime Roman and the ultimate sacrifice that he made for the people of Philadelphia. In honor of Officer Roman, I'm ordering all city flags to be flown at half-mast in his remembrance. But as we communicated to his family, and Commissioner Bethel, you have been with them, weekly basis, communicating with everyone, we will not allow his death to be in vain. Councilwoman Ketsi Lozada, who's here, wherever you are, it just means we have to continue to work as hard as we possibly can to make sure that the public health and safety of our city is our #1 priority, and I shall not be moved. Thank you.
So I thank you, Mayor, for your comments, but most importantly for your support. On June 22nd, you were there with us, and you continue to stand by our side supporting our men and women, and I'm so eternally grateful, and I know the department is grateful as well. I know we have a number of people here, but just to recap, I think many of you recall on June 22nd, 2024, at 7:52 p.m., Officer Roman, along with his partner, was making just a normal stop of a vehicle, a live stop of the vehicle. It's nothing more disheartening to watch and look at the video, and there's nothing out of order. It's just a normal process of going through and making a stop. Unfortunately, the individual's vehicle was not properly registered and is going to be removed. We do that on a regular basis across the city. This individual could have walked away at any time during that process and did no harm to anyone. Unfortunately, this individual elected, after they found a empty holster, to engage the officer, firing at least 3 times at Officer Roman and striking him in the neck, which ultimately led to his demise yesterday. That's difficult to think through that process and the impact that it has on the men and women of this department. And as I stand here, I want to acknowledge Captain Wheeler, who has been at Jamie's side, as well as Inspector Luca, who oversees East Division, Captain Wheeler, who's the 25th District Captain, for their sincere commitment to our officer. The challenge after on June 22nd was to make sure that Jamie would not be forgotten. The challenge for us as an organization, as things were going back to normal, was not normal for our men and women in the 25th District and East Division. And it's through the leadership of these 2 individuals there and others below them that we're able to keep the resilience of those men and women going. And I was honored to stand with Captain Wheeler many times, our path crossing at the hospital, as we continue to engage the family throughout this process. It's probably one of the most difficult times I've ever had in my career in 38 years in policing. As the mayor indicated, I've been here far too many times. But to sit and with the family, to see the strength of this family, to see the strength of his wife and his 2 children, 7-year-old daughter and a 4-year-old son, to see the strength of his father and everyone that was involved, how much work did they sit there sitting visually next to him, having hope that he may survive, having that hope, and only to be called yesterday to let us know that he was not going to make it. I was asked the other day by a reporter, what keeps you up at night? What makes you worried? It is that call. It's that call that one of my officers has been shot, and or that my officer has died. There's nothing like that you can ever imagine. I look now, I talked to my wife this morning, I said, these are my children now. When I came on the job, it was my colleague as a young cop. But now this 31-year-old officer, who is 2 weeks from having his 7th year anniversary, is taken away from me, and I have a 34-year-old daughter. So I see, every time I walked into that hospital bed, I saw my son. I sit here in the police department, and I say, I ask these men and women under our charge and under the leadership of the mayor to go into some of the most dangerous places you can ever imagine. And it is those times when, unfortunately, they lose their lives. And so I continue to ask the public to pray for my men and women. But I echo the words that the mayor has outlined. We will not be deterred in our work. We will continue to honor Jaime for everything he gave. It is our duty to do this work. We understand what we accept in that process, but we will not stop doing the work. We will continue to take the charge that is given to us. I took 38 years ago, and my young officers are going to take 4 weeks from now when they walk across our graduation center. We will continue to serve this community. And what we ask you to do is continue to appreciate and respect that work. And so I'll stop there. The arrangements are being made as we speak. Our team will be putting out announcements on the funeral arrangements. But I do want to, before, thank everyone here who's standing behind me, who provide their support. Those of you who are here today, for your media to continue to keep Jaime, his voice alive and him alive in his work. He will never, ever be forgotten, and we will continue to move forward in this work. I'll stop there and see if you have any questions. Yes, sir.
Sorry for the loss.
We appreciate that.
Where Officer Roman was the decision from the family to allow him to pass on?
I think that's a personal decision. I mean, myself and Captain Wheeler were in the room when he took his last breath. And I think that's something personal for them to describe. Jaime fought. I didn't know him before I was at the hospital, but they told me he was a fighter. He fought, and he fought hard.
One other question would just be, because you said the investigation is continuing, obviously you have the suspect in custody, but what goes into, now he's passed, what goes into kind of that aspect of it on the police investigation?
From the investigative side, he initially was charged with the shooting, attempted murder. He will now be brought down and be charged with murder of police officer Roman. He should be brought down, I believe, Frank, today, or
As soon as the warrants.
as soon as the warrant's approved, he'll be brought into the system and charged with murder.
Commissioner Martin as well.
Thank you.
Can you give us some insight about Officer Roman, some things you've learned from his family? What sort of an officer?
I think, yeah.
Become an officer?
Yeah, I don't want to get into those specifics, and I think there'll come a moment for me to have those conversations. But one of the things I did recognize is just his sheer strength, and who he was to his family, the rock of his family. I think Captain Wheeler would probably have some more concrete words and be more than glad to share those after you. I think for now, what I saw was a strong family. What I saw was an individual who was the nucleus of that family. What I saw was someone taken away way too soon. And so I'll hold those more personal comments for another time. But Jaime was a good man. And I'm sure if his father was sitting here, he said it. Absolutely. Kevin,
Jaime was
Move it.
Jaime was assigned to his initial beat in the 12th district and then transferred over to the 25th, where he spent the majority of his career. He was assigned to 2 platoon, and he was, as the commissioner and the mayor said, a very young, vibrant officer. He could light up a room. I did know things about Jaime that I will talk about later on, but he will be deeply missed by not only the city, the police department, but by his 25th district family.
Captain, on that subject, do you have any kind of anecdotes, like, for the people who didn't know him out there in the city about the
mean, at this time, I'm not going to, with everything that has happened in the last 24 hours, I'm not going to go into those. There's really times when, I will step forward and share some anecdotes. Right now, my concern is just with the care of his family.
I do one thing I will share with you, and learning this from his father, he always wanted to be a cop. That was unwavering from his father. From the time he could remember, he always wanted to be a cop. I believe he did. Yes. All right.
Last one.
That'll be the last question, right? Okay.
What do you all do today looking forward to fellow officers?
Yeah, we will have, we engage our employee assistance program after the June 22nd, and we'll continue to do that process. We have, fortunately, we've been able to really bolster our employee assistance program. We have a doctor on board now and other trained workers to be able to support our men and women, and some other additional outside resources that will be on place and on station. They were on station last night. They'll continue to be. Really proud of our police clergy.
Yes.
They played a substantial role from the time he was in the hospital. Listen, at some point, and I hope I don't get in trouble, but Jamie was working on a project, Chris Wheel, at his home. He was doing repairs and was members of the clergy who went and finished that project, which was special to his wife. And so we believe we have supports available, continuous throughout this process. As the captain said, that there is, and I was remiss in not making a comment about the men and women of the East Division and the 24th District and 25th District, and so how proud I am, so proud of them and their ability to just be resilient and be steadfast in honoring him, whether it be through functions. I know members of the FOP are here, and President Poplar, as well as his team, hosting fundraisers and keeping him and his family in prayer, and not just prayer, but support through this process. So we go through a period where we're grieving. That is the reality of the work. And so we now rally around ourselves and get embraced. I think got about 100 text messages already from members of the community sending their prayers and support for us. And so it'll be a very difficult time for us. As the mayor said, we've been here many times, but each one stands alone and is right. So,
Isn't there a fundraiser tomorrow?
I believe that's been postponed. Yeah. All right. Again,
Commissioner,
additional.
I just want to leave you with a lesson that I learned last night, and I want to say to you, to Wheeler, and to the commissioner. When we were in the auditorium chapel last night, and we had prayer, I learned something from both of you last night. And Captain, when you spoke, I don't even know if you remember, you asked all of the officers and all those who were present to use this moment as an opportunity to share with each other how much we value one another. I didn't know that right there at that moment, at that time, it was appropriate to be able to say, and whether you are on or in the police department, you mentioned saying that not only to your partners and the people that you serve with, but to your family members. It requires that we remember how important it is to say thank you, and to say I love you, and to let each other know how much we value each other on a daily basis. Thank you.